A broccoli sprout that is 3 days old contains 100 times more sulforaphane than a full head of mature broccoli from the grocery store. Not 10% more, not double, 100 times more. A sprout the size of a fingernail versus a head the size of your fist. The fingernail wins by a factor of 100. That number comes from Johns Hopkins University, published in 1997, peer-reviewed, confirmed by every study since, not disputed by anyone, not debated by any nutritional scientist on Earth. 100 times more of the compound that peer-reviewed oncology research has identified as one of the most potent cancer-preventive substances ever found in food. A 3-day-old baby plant, in a jar on your kitchen counter, grown from a tablespoon of seeds that costs 12 cents. No soil, no sunlight, no garden, no land, no tractor, no fertilizer, no pesticide, no supply chain, no refrigerated truck, no grocery store markup, no plastic packaging, no expiration date panic. 12 cents, 3 days. 100 times more medicine than the $3 head of broccoli that traveled 1,500 miles in a diesel truck to sit under fluorescent lights, losing nutrients by the hour. The global vegetable industry generates $380 billion annually. The supplement industry generates $170 billion, combined $550 billion per year, selling you nutrition in forms that a mason jar and a tablespoon of seeds replace for pennies. This is not a hack. This is not a trend. This is not a superfood marketing gimmick invented by an influencer. This is plant biology. And the numbers are so embarrassing for the produce and supplement industries that neither one has ever run an advertising campaign comparing sprouts to their products, because they would lose, publicly, mathematically, permanently. Before we get into this, if these stories matter to you, subscribe, hit the bell, and share this with someone who deserves to know what a mason jar can do that a grocery store cannot. Here is what is happening inside that seed during those 3 days. Because the science is where it gets stunning. A seed is a survival vault. It contains everything the plant needs to launch itself into existence. Concentrated energy, concentrated enzymes, concentrated defense compounds, all compressed into a package smaller than a pebble, waiting. When water hits that seed, the vault opens. The seed begins converting stored starch into available sugars. Enzymes activate. Proteins break down into free amino acids. Vitamins synthesize at rates that the mature plant will never match again in its entire life cycle. Stay with me, because this part changes the way you look at food forever. The seed does not just grow, it panics. Biologically, chemically. In the first 72 hours, the sprout is the most vulnerable living thing on Earth. No root system to find water, no leaf system to capture sunlight, no bark to protect against infection, no thorns to deter predators, no height to escape ground-level threats. It is naked, exposed, defenseless, a millimeter tall in a world of insects, bacteria, and fungi that want to eat it before sunrise. So the sprout does the only thing it can do. It produces chemical weapons, massive quantities. At concentrations, the mature plant will never produce again for the rest of its life. Think about it this way. A full-grown broccoli plant weighs 2 pounds. It produces a certain amount of sulforaphane spread across all that tissue. A broccoli sprout weighs a fraction of a gram. It produces the same defensive chemistry, but packed into a body 1,000 times smaller. The concentration is not slightly higher, it is astronomically higher. Because the sprout cannot afford to dilute its defenses across 2 pounds of tissue. It has milligrams to work with, so every milligram is loaded. Sulforaphane in broccoli sprouts, that is the defense compound, the molecular weapon. The sprout produces it at 100 times the concentration of the adult plant because the sprout needs it 100 times more desperately. The chemistry of survival, the biology of fear, packed into something you can grow in a jar for 12 cents. And this is not unique to broccoli, not even close. Radish sprouts contain 40 times more vitamin E than mature radishes. The adult radish barely registers on vitamin E assays. The sprout is loaded with it. Same seed, same DNA. Completely different nutritional profile based entirely on age. Red clover sprouts contain isoflavone concentrations 10 to 20 times higher than mature red clover. These are the phytoestrogen compounds that clinical research has linked to menopausal symptom relief. The supplement industry sells red clover extract capsules for $15 to $25 per bottle. The sprouts produce the same compounds in 4 days from seeds costing pennies in a jar. Sunflower sprouts contain 100 times more enzyme activity than mature sunflower seeds. The enzymes that aid protein digestion and nutrient absorption are present at concentrations that disappear entirely as the plant matures. You either eat them as sprouts or you do not eat them at all. Alfalfa sprouts contain vitamin K concentrations that dwarf the mature plant. Mung bean sprouts contain vitamin C levels that the dried bean does not possess at all. The vitamin C is synthesized entirely during germination. It does not exist in the seed. It does not exist in the adult plant. At meaningful levels, it exists only in the sprout, in a window of 3 to 5 days. Lentil sprouts. This one should be studied in schools. Dry lentils contain 0 vitamin C, none, 0 milligrams. You could eat a pound of dry lentils and get no vitamin C whatsoever. After 5 days of sprouting, lentil sprouts contain 18 to 25 milligrams of vitamin C per 100 grams. The act of sprouting creates a nutrient from nothing. Water, air, time, and the enzymatic machinery locked inside the seed produce a vitamin that the seed did not contain. Read that again. A nutrient that does not exist in the seed appears during sprouting, created from enzymatic reactions triggered by nothing more than water hitting a dry bean. You're not releasing stored vitamin C, you're creating new vitamin C from a dry lentil and a wet paper towel on your kitchen counter while you sleep. Wheatgrass sprouts. The juice industry charges $4 to $7 for a single 2-ounce shot of wheatgrass juice at a smoothie bar. A tray of wheatgrass grown at home from $0.50 worth of wheat berries produces 10 to 15 shots worth of juice. The markup at the smoothie bar is 800 to 2,000% for grass, grown from wheat seeds, in a tray, in a week. The supplement industry charges $12 for a bottle of vitamin C tablets synthesized in a factory overseas. Lentils cost $2 per pound at any grocery store. 1 pound produces enough sprouts for weeks of vitamin C. The smoothie bar charges $7 for 2 ounces of grass juice you can grow for 5 cents. The numbers are so absurd that the industry relies entirely on you never doing the math. Now multiply this across every sprout type, because the pattern is universal. A 2012 study published in the Journal of Agricultural and Food Chemistry analyzed the antioxidant content of 25 common sprout varieties compared to their mature equivalents. The sprouts won in 23 out of 25 comparisons. Not by small margins, by multiples. 3 times, 5 times, 10 times. In some cases, 40 times more antioxidant activity in the sprout than in the full-grown vegetable. A 2016 study published in the journal Food Chemistry found that broccoli sprouts contain significantly higher concentrations of glucosinolates, ascorbic acid, and total phenolics compared to commercially available mature broccoli. The researchers concluded that sprouts represent a substantially more concentrated source of bioactive compounds than their adult counterparts. A 2019 study in the journal Nutrients demonstrated that regular consumption of broccoli sprouts for 10 weeks significantly reduced markers of inflammation in overweight adults. Not supplements, not extracts, sprouts, grown in a jar, eaten raw. A 2020 meta-analysis in the journal Antioxidants compiled data from 47 studies on cruciferous sprouts and concluded that sprout consumption was associated with measurable improvements in oxidative stress markers, inflammatory biomarkers, and blood glucose regulation. The research is not ambiguous, it is not debated, it is not preliminary. Decades of peer-reviewed science from universities on 4 continents all arrive at the same conclusion. Sprouts are nutritionally superior to mature vegetables, period. So why does your grocery store dedicate 200 linear feet of shelf space to mature vegetables and 2 feet to sprouts? If the store carries sprouts at all, why does the produce aisle look like a museum of nutritionally inferior food, while the most potent version sits in a forgotten corner next to the tofu? Because mature vegetables generate revenue at every stage of the supply chain, and sprouts generate revenue for nobody except you. A head of broccoli creates economic activity from the moment the seed goes into the ground. The seed company profits. The fertilizer company profits. The pesticide company profits. The irrigation equipment company profits. The harvesting crew profits. The packaging company profits. The trucking company profits. The distribution warehouse profits. The grocery store profits. 15 different businesses touch that broccoli between the farm and your fridge. Each one takes a cut. Each one needs you to keep buying. A jar of sprouts on your counter cuts every single one of them out of the transaction. Every single one. The seed supplier gets paid once. Nobody else gets anything. No fertilizer, no pesticide, no truck, no warehouse, no shelf space, no checkout clerk, no plastic bag. 1 tablespoon of seeds, 1 jar, 3 days, and 15 industries lose a customer. This is why sprouts are not promoted. Not because they are dangerous, not because they are inferior, because they are too good, because they work too well, because they make $550 billion worth of food and supplement infrastructure look like what it is. A middleman you do not need. The math proves it. A head of broccoli grown in California travels an average of 1,500 miles to reach a grocery store on the East Coast. Diesel fuel burning the entire way. Refrigerated trailers running 24 hours. Distribution warehouses with loading docks and forklifts. Grocery store rent at $25 per square foot per year. Fluorescent lights running 16 hours a day, bleaching nutrients out of the produce they are supposedly displaying. Checkout staff. Bagging. Shopping cart maintenance. All of that cost is embedded in the $3 price tag. And by the time that broccoli reaches your refrigerator, it has lost 50 to 75% of the vitamin C it contained at harvest. That is not an estimate. Published research from Penn State University measured broccoli stored for 7 days at typical refrigerator temperatures and found over 50% vitamin C loss. 7 days. Most grocery store broccoli was harvested 10 to 14 days before you buy it. The broccoli in your fridge is nutritionally half dead before you even look at it. Then you cook it. Boiling destroys 50 to 60% of remaining water-soluble vitamins. Steaming destroys 20 to 30%. Even stir-frying eliminates 15 to 25% of heat-sensitive compounds. By the time that broccoli hits your plate, you're eating the ghost of the nutrition it once contained, so you are paying $3 for roughly 25% of the nutrition the broccoli had when it was picked 2 weeks ago. The other 75% evaporated in a truck, a warehouse, a shelf, a fridge, and a pan. You paid full price for a quarter of the product. A broccoli sprout harvested from a jar on your counter and eaten raw retains 100% of its nutrition, because there is no truck, no warehouse, no shelf, no cooking, zero nutrient loss, zero supply chain degradation, 100% of 100 times more nutrition versus 25% of baseline nutrition. Do that math. Then ask yourself why the produce industry has never voluntarily shared those numbers with you. Stay with me. Because the economics are where the entire system falls apart. 1 tablespoon of broccoli sprouting seeds costs approximately 12 cents. It produces roughly 1 cup of sprouts in 3 to 5 days. Those sprouts contain the sulforaphane equivalent of 12 to 15 full heads of mature broccoli. At $3 per head, that is $36 to $45 worth of broccoli nutrition. 12 cents versus $45. Same compound, same species, same DNA. The only difference is age. 3 days old versus 80 days old. The baby wins by a factor that makes the adult irrelevant. Scale that across a year. A family of 4 consuming sprouts daily spends approximately $50 to $100 per year on sprouting seeds. The same family purchasing equivalent nutrition from mature grocery store produce would spend $2,000 to $5,000 per year on $100 versus $5,000 from a jar on the counter. The grocery store cannot compete with your kitchen window. Now the supplement comparison, because this is where the $170 billion supplement industry loses its mind. Sulforaphane supplements sell for $25 to $50 per bottle. A bottle contains 30 to 60 capsules. Each capsule contains 10 to 40 milligrams of sulforaphane or a precursor compound called glucoraphanin. The bioavailability, meaning how much your body actually absorbs and uses, of supplement form sulforaphane is significantly lower than food form sulforaphane. The reason is a single enzyme called myrosinase. Myrosinase is the key that unlocks sulforaphane from its precursor. Fresh sprouts contain abundant myrosinase. When you chew a sprout, your teeth crush the plant cells, myrosinase meets glucoraphanin, and sulforaphane is produced in your mouth. Real time, fresh, maximum potency. Most supplement capsules do not contain myrosinase. The manufacturing process destroys it. So the capsule delivers a precursor compound that your gut bacteria must convert into sulforaphane. The conversion rate is low, variable, unreliable, dependent on your individual gut microbiome composition, which varies wildly from person to person. In other words, the supplement is less effective than the sprout. It is less reliable than the sprout. It costs 50 to 100 times more than the sprout. And it requires a factory, a supply chain, a bottle, a label, a marketing campaign, and a retail markup to deliver an inferior version of what your teeth do for free when you chew a 3-day-old plant. The supplement industry knows this. Every nutritional biochemist knows this. A 2018 study published in the Journal of Functional Foods directly compared sulforaphane bioavailability from broccoli sprouts versus supplement capsules in human subjects. The sprouts won, dramatically. The food beat the pill, in a clinical setting, in a peer-reviewed journal, with real humans, not rats, not computer models, people. The supplement industry responded by never mentioning the study, not in their marketing, not on their labels, not in their social media, because mentioning it would be advertising for a mason jar. Now here is where I get honest, because honesty is what separates information from propaganda. And because every channel that sells you miracle cures without mentioning risks is selling you something other than truth. Sprouts carry real food safety risks. This is non-negotiable information. The warm, humid conditions ideal for sprouting are also ideal for bacterial growth. Salmonella, E. coli 0157H7, and Listeria outbreaks have been traced to commercial sprout operations multiple times. The FDA has issued advisories about raw sprout consumption, particularly for pregnant women, elderly individuals, children under 5, and immunocompromised patients. These warnings are not pharmaceutical industry propaganda designed to scare you away from sprouts. They are microbiology. Bacteria are real. Contaminated seeds are real. Improper rinsing leads to real illness. The solution is simple but non-negotiable. Source seeds from reputable sprouting seed suppliers who batch test for pathogen contamination, not garden seeds, not bulk bin seeds. Dedicated sprouting seeds from suppliers like Mum's, True Leaf Market, or Johnny's Selected Seeds. These companies test every batch before sale. This matters. Do not skip this step. Rinse sprouts thoroughly every 8 to 12 hours during the growing process. Use clean jars. Use clean water. This is not optional. This is the difference between nutrition and food poisoning. Do not cut corners. Do not get lazy on day 3 because the sprouts look fine. Rinse them anyway. Consume sprouts within 5 to 7 days of harvest. Refrigerate immediately after harvest. If you are immunocompromised or pregnant, lightly steam sprouts for 60 to 90 seconds to eliminate surface pathogens while preserving most bioactive compounds. You lose some enzymes. You keep most of the sulforaphane. Fair trade. Homegrown sprouts from tested seeds, rinsed properly, are significantly safer than commercial sprouts because you control every variable. No industrial scale contamination, no shared equipment, no temperature abuse during transport from a factory you have never seen. The risk is real. The solution is easy. Respect it. Here is your action plan. Because information without action is just entertainment you forgot by tomorrow. Start with broccoli seeds. They are the most studied, most proven, most nutritionally dense sprouting seed available. Buy organic sprouting-specific broccoli seeds from a supplier like Mum's, Johnny's Selected Seeds, or True Leaf Market. A 4-ounce bag costs $5 to $8 and produces roughly 30 to 40 batches. That is 3 to 4 months of daily sprouts from a single bag. Get a wide-mouth mason jar, get a sprouting lid, metal mesh or plastic screen. They cost $3 to $5. That is your entire equipment investment, total, forever. Add 1 to 2 tablespoons of seeds to the jar. Fill with cool water. Soak for 8 to 12 hours. Drain completely. Invert the jar at an angle so air circulates and excess water drains. Rinse and drain every 8 to 12 hours. In 3 to 5 days, the jar is full of sprouts ready to eat. That is the entire process. Soak, rinse, drain, eat, no soil. No light required during sprouting, no special skills, no gardening knowledge. A child can do it. A college student in a dorm room can do it. Someone in a studio apartment with 0 outdoor space can do it. A person in a wheelchair can do it from a kitchen counter without bending down. This is the most accessible, cheapest, fastest, most nutritionally dense form of food production available to a human being. Nothing else is close. No garden, no farm, no greenhouse, no hydroponics system, no grocery store, no supplement company, no meal delivery service. Nothing produces this much nutrition, this fast, this cheap, in this little space, with this little skill required. A person in a prison cell could do this with seeds in a cup. A person in a hospital bed could do this on a nightstand. A student in a dorm room with no kitchen could do this. An elderly person who cannot bend down to garden could do this on a countertop. A family in a food desert 30 miles from the nearest grocery store could do this. A refugee in a camp with nothing but seeds and water could do this. There is no demographic excluded, no income bracket too low, no living space too small, no physical limitation too severe. Sprouts are the great equalizer of human nutrition, and that equality is precisely why the $550 billion food industry never promotes them. Because you cannot build a $550 billion industry on top of a mason jar. The margins are not there. The supply chain is not there. The repeat customer is not there. You buy seeds once. You grow them forever. You need nobody. And needing nobody is the one thing no industry can monetize. And it has been available to every human on Earth for the entire history of agriculture. Seeds have been sprouting since before humans existed. The germination process is 400 million years old. It is not new technology. It is not a discovery. It is a reminder of something the $550 billion food and supplement industry needed you to forget. You do not need their supply chain. You do not need their trucks. You do not need their warehouses, their shelf space, their packaging, their expiration dates, their marketing campaigns, or their $3 heads of broccoli that lost 75% of their nutrition before you got them home. You need a jar, seeds, water, 3 days. The grocery industry prayed you would keep driving to the store every week. The supplement industry prayed you would keep buying pills that your body absorbs worse than food. The produce supply chain prayed you would never calculate the nutrient loss between harvest and plate. They all bet on you never learning what a seed does in the first 72 hours of its life, what it builds, what it concentrates, what it offers to anyone willing to add water and weight. They lost that bet. You just learned it. 12 cents, 3 days, 100 times more nutrition. In a jar, on your counter, right now. If this opens something for you, subscribe and hit the bell. Every like and every share helps spread this. The next one drops soon.